Hey, Eastern Michigan family, what is going on? My name is Taquanda, and I serve as the social media strategist here at Eastern. And welcome back if you have been tuning in to our Black History 365 series that we've been hosting here on Facebook as well as YouTube. And as you guys come on in, make sure that you hit up the comment box. We would love to hear from you and know exactly where you are chiming in from. Tag your friends. This is most definitely a candid conversation with I believe, some of Eastern's most definitely best, from our regents to our former faculty and staff, current faculty and staff, as well as alums. So if you have missed any of our lives leading up to today, I want to petition you to go back to our timeline after this and make sure that you watch some of those, as well as hit up our YouTube channel. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button to stay connected with us to know about all things Eastern. So without further ado, y'all know we have to do our disclaimer. Again, this is all about Black History 365. So if you are joining us for the first time, I do want to give you a little house rules. Again, we welcome any questions that you may have. You can hit them in the comment box. However, we do ask that you keep your questions minimal to today's topic. And if you have any questions that are outside of Black History 365 or what we're talking about today, go ahead and submit those to social_media@emich.edu, and we will be able to answer any question that you may have later on, or direct them to the respective department that can assist you better. But today and all throughout this week, we are talking about Black History 365 days of the year. So without further ado, I'm excited about today's conversation. If some of you guys have been tuning in, I feel like I have had the opportunity of interviewing and sitting and having a candid conversation with some of the best to ever embrace Eastern. And this one right here that I get to introduce today is really special because not only is he a regent, he's one of my very close friends. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Regent Alex Simpson. He was appointed to the Board of Regents by Governor Snyder back in December of 2016, and he's been in this position as a regent ever since. His term expires December 2024. He is a proud alum of Eastern. He received his bachelor's in social work from Eastern. He's a member of Delta Nu chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. He presented at the undergraduate symposium. He was a member of the Community Creed Task Force, as well as a NSOA, new student orientation assistant. He was a writer with the Eastern Echo while he was on campus, as well as the homecoming king. When we both were here during our undergrad years, he went on to receive his master's in social work from the University of Michigan back in 2008. And he also received his doctorate as far as jurisdiction is concerned from Indiana University in 2011. And when I say this guy is phenomenal, like he's done so much work as far as in his legal career is concerned. He worked with some of the best firms. He's also worked as a legal counsel for Meyer Corporation, as well as a board member of the Michigan State Housing Development Authority. He is responsible for providing policy direction concerning the Development Authority. He is authorizing bonds and approving developmental loan commitments. He's also currently the attorney for Microsoft and supports commercial transactions in both the U.S. as well as Canada. He was the president of the Wolverine Board Association, and he also, in his spare time, after doing all of that, y'all, he also coaches youth football. He has 4 amazing children. And again, he is not only a regent, but he is one of my very close friends. I'm excited about you guys getting to know this man right here, Regent Alex Simpson. Welcome, Regent Simpson.
Wow, thank you. That's a heck of an introduction. I appreciate it.
I mean, the people got to know what I've always known for years, okay? So thank you for joining us today. We're excited about today's discussion and being able to talk about Black History 365 here on Eastern's campus, as well as, beyond Eastern's campus. You as well as, we know firsthand exactly the emphasis that the university places on Black History Month, as well as, MLK Week celebration. And we've been at the hem of a lot of this stuff, even during our undergrad years and now, beyond. So being able to have this candid conversation about what we deem as, a lot of folks think like, oh, Black History Month, oh, that's so great. It's a month to celebrate Black history and to acknowledge and amplify Black voices. But this is a life that we live 365 days of the year, right? Like it's just
Absolutely.
a part of our culture. So I am loving the fact that I get to sit down and talk with my friend today, and we get down on it. I see we got some comments coming in the comment box. So welcome, Elizabeth, who is Dr. Beth Johnson from EMU COE. So hello, thanks for joining us. So
yes, thank you for joining us.
Regent Simpson.
Yes.
Or would you like to be called Regent Simpson? I mean,
Alex sounds a little better, but
sounds good to me.
Okay.
Whatever you like, I'm here for it. So let's talk a little bit, about your, history with the university. Again, we have the pleasure of, not only having now, 4 Black regents, within our board, but you are one of the youngest ones, to come about. So being a student leader and kind of leading into, where you are right now, like, let's talk a little bit about that. Like, how has that been?
It's been amazing. So serving on the board with 7 other, 6 right now, but normally 7 other amazing people who have very different backgrounds, but very smart, highly intellectual folks who really care about the university has been an amazing experience. It's been a learning experience for me. I've come in certainly with my own history and background, and I'm certainly a strong supporter of the students. I'm still, close to the student, base, close to recent alums and things like that. But it's been a great experience to learn from the other regents as well. I just a couple of months ago, we had a meeting as 2 of the board members were leaving off the board. Our former Chairman Webb, and Regent Trey Lang. And my comment then was that one of the things that I appreciate most about our board members is that we don't have groupthink. There's no group thought there. We all have different backgrounds. We have different ways of thinking about things. We have different answers to the same questions, and I think that makes us better. It makes us go a little deeper when we're making decisions. So that's our disagreements have been sort of my favorite part about being on the board, because we're very different, but we have the same goal, and that's coming to a decision that's in the best interest of the university community. That's our students, our faculty, and the whole IPSI community that serves campus. So that's been great.
I love it. So as a knowing that you are still connected to the university, especially from the time that we were in undergrad, and then leading into now, and you mentioned something about still having that connection with like student leaders and student groups, and as well as alums. Like, how has that helped your experience as far as being a regent?
It's also been a great thing because one thing we made some great decisions, I think, as a board. We've made some decisions that I think we wish we could take back as a board. And one thing I can tell you, and this about our friends that we went to school with, they won't hold back. So I can't tell you how many times I've gotten calls from folks like, Alex, what are you guys thinking? And sometimes it's really good insight, and sometimes it's, well, you don't have all the information, so let me give you some more background and understand where we are as a university, and hopefully that helps you understand the decision that we've made. But it's really good to get that perspective from other people as well. And I think because I still have that connection, people are real comfortable with calling me, and
extremely really, comfortable, more comfortable than what we want sometimes, right? So as as a regent, and then also not just as a regent, but as a dad. Like, you're a dad, you work at Microsoft, you serve within your community. Like, how is that as far as like time management is concerned? And I want to get a little bit, into your life. Like, I know that at least I know about you, but there's some others that don't know the magnitude of what you do, on top of being a regent. So you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so one of the kids definitely, run my life with their busy schedules. I think I'm very busy, and they take it up a notch. They're even busier than me, and I'm not as organized. I'd listened to Regent Jeffries, and she's super organized and prepared meals and things like that.
Right.
Yeah, I'm a little different. I'm not that organized, but I do have a whole village of folks who really support me and things that we're trying to accomplish over here. So my parents. I have a twin sister. I have really good friends, and as you know, because you're in my friend circle. So we all come together and support each other. We really take that whole "takes a village to raise a child" sort of mantra, and we all support each other with things that we have going on. But really also just focusing my time on things that I can be most impactful on. That's something I've learned over the years. I think earlier in my career, especially when I first graduated and I came back, I wanted to dip my hands in everything that I could possibly be in. Hey, brother Beasley, I see you. I wanted to dip myself into everything I could possibly do, and it's probably achieving about 40, 50%, on all the different things that I was doing, and I had to scale that back to really focus on things that all the things matter. So I won't say focus on the things that matter, but focus on the things that I could really do well with everything that was on my plate. That way I can have the most impact. So that was very important to me too.
I love it. Listen, I'm not as organized as Regent Jeffries is either. When she said that she prepared meals and all of that, now I try to do my meal prep, and I don't have any kids, but I know how I am when I have my nieces and nephews. Like, I'm just not there yet. So I'm with you on that one. Like, it's like, woo, she's on a whole level.
I can tell you, I know hot and ready with taxes 5:30. I know she says she doesn't do them, so.
I love it. I love it. So let's talk a little bit about like Black history and like what, not just this month, but, our day-to-day practices like mean to you. And especially with, the background that you have as far as in law is concerned. Tell us a little bit about that.
No, I'm really happy about the title of this series because someone just asked me the other day about what Black History means to me and things like that, or Black History Month, and my comment was it's not a month, it's the whole life we live. I've been doing Black History for 37 years.
Right.
And so it truly is that. But I do appreciate the month though, because it does sort of give us a reminder to really think about it with intent. Especially with my children, it's a time where I have Black boys. So although we have these discussions throughout the year, it's a reminder to really dive deep into those conversations during this month. I probably annoy them sometimes. I get them out the video games, and we definitely dive into some documentaries and things like that. And there's also time to think about, okay, well, this is Black History Month, but I totally know there's other cultures that I have not learned enough about. So I try to think about that as well. Because even at my age right now, I'm learning that some things that I grew up saying are very insensitive to certain cultures and that I had no idea about. And then other simple things like celebrating Juneteenth in the summer. That's actually not something I did as a kid growing up. I wasn't very aware of it.
Me neither. So, like, even when we were at school, like, I don't think that I knew too much, about it until I came to Eastern, and it was an emphasis, and I was just like, oh, okay.
I was like, what's this new thing? Oh, it's been around. Okay.
Right.
So,
right.
So things like that, just still learning and things like that. Really, then also, I think I'll point out that the work that the university is doing, because I was very proud at our last board meeting to hear that our faculty is really, stepping up and doing a lot of things in the area of diversity and inclusion. had some workshops where they had some surveys from students that, sort of pointed out that they wanted to see, faculty get training on things like implicit bias. They wanted us to increase, representation amongst the faculty. That way it can sort of improve and increase mentorship opportunities. And our faculty responded, right away with, internal training for our faculty. I know there's some videos in production right now. I learned that one of my favorite professors during my freshman year is involved, Dr. Diane Lockwood. And so our faculty is doing a lot of, great things in this area. And, we should highlight that and point that out. They're not doing it just in February. This is something that they've been doing, throughout the year. So
I love it. I really believe, and I believe that's like the hem of it all, right? Like I think last year alone, we just got hit with a whammy, right? Like, yes, we know that social injustice, is prevalent in every aspect of, society, but unfortunately it was brought to a huger, as I say, eyes were open if they weren't before, the eyes were open last year. And I love the fact that, Dr. Rima had made mention, and she was just like, that the university is starting to basically put an emphasis on, on just that. Like, it's not just a statement out here. Like, we are inwoven, this aspect of, representing our Black students and representing, all students from all different nationalities and such. And that inclusion is just so important. But specifically for us, like, I think back to the times where, we were on campus and we had individuals, like, Greg Peoples and such to kind of keep us on the, as I say, the straight and narrow, as I'm saying, and how important for us to have that type of representation. And, and we did. So now it's like our turn to ensure that they have just that.
Yeah, absolutely. Every campus needs a Dean Peoples. That's for sure.
I am convinced all the way.
Yeah. And honestly, with now we have 4 board members of color, along with the other diverse. We have women on the board. We got women board members of color, things like that. So we really have to hold each other accountable for that. That we definitely should be able to make some progress with the way we're set up right now. And I'll be very disappointed if that doesn't happen.
And that I love the word that you just used there, accountability, right? Like, we have to hold each other accountable. And when we see that, a ball is being dropped or something isn't, being done or something's not being brought up, like, somebody got to say something, we need to see full change. So I love that. So, knowing that I want to go into like more about you and like the law that you practice, and how, like, even during paving the way as far as Black history is concerned, concerning that. So can we dive a little bit deeper, getting all in your business concerning what you do as far as law? So tell us a little bit about like your law career and how that's been for you.
Yeah, so first I started out my career, was really helped by an organization that's here in Michigan, the Wolverine Bar Association, which is, essentially attorneys of color that are working to improve minority representation in the legal field, and doing a heck of a job at it. And so I've even, been engaged in that organization since I've become an attorney, but was able to get my first job from my involvement with them. And also another EMU alum helped lead the program that I was a part of, Terrence Reeves, who is also an attorney and an EMU alum. And so that's how I started my career. And so from, people like that, like Terrence, who were, reaching back and giving back to the community and making sure there was a pipeline for people like me to come through. And that's been sort of the story throughout my career, even to my position at Microsoft. There's an attorney at Microsoft named Bruce Jackson, who, I really admire because he was in a pretty high role at Microsoft. He's been at Microsoft as an attorney for a while, so he's earned status and respect, things like that amongst the leaders at Microsoft. And I think what happens sometimes when we reach those heights in our careers and within our organizations, we care about the struggle, we care about the pipeline, but we're not necessarily comfortable leveraging our weight to
Ooh,
pull other people through with us, which is a tough thing to do. It takes some bravery to do it, to sort of put yourself out there and say, hey, this is what I'm going to do, and that's it. And Bruce did that. As a leader, he's brought in so many of us, Black attorneys within Microsoft, and with no hesitation, no shame about it. Very chest high, and he's made it known this is what he's going to do, and this is his goal. And he's brought in some excellent attorneys, and I'm grateful for it. I'm pretty sure Microsoft is grateful for it because he's brought great talent to the company. And so I think it takes those kind of leaders too to really push the envelope and help us improve and make progress as a society. So
that's awesome. So like, do you, what is your like overall when it comes to working in law, and like we mentioned about like leaving a legacy, and you and I talked a little bit about that previously, like the importance of leaving a legacy for others that may be around you. Like, let's talk a little bit about that. Like you mentioned, like that particular person was like, look here, I know this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a man of my word, and I'm about to show y'all, like, let's talk a little bit about like the importance of legacy, and knowing that what you're doing is going to pave a way for somebody else.
Yeah, I think it is important. So, and I mentioned, he helped, me get into that company, but, I practice and I do IT transactions. So, information technology transactions, and I'm negotiating contracts for, cloud services, software licenses, and things like that. And I'm trying to think, but I can't think of any time. So I'll say rare. I don't want to say never, but I've actually can't remember a time where I've negotiated one of these contracts and there's been another attorney of color on the other side. And so there's still just not enough of us in the field, as far as representation goes. And so, I would love to see that change one day. And that's sort of the type of things that I try to work on, with my work with the WBA and things like that. I work on it, with my children. I try to encourage them, the type of careers that they should think about looking at. I remember when I was in law school, and so I went to law school, and I wanted to do child welfare, which would have been great. And a lot of my classmates that that were Black as well, everyone came in wanting to do basically public service work and go and do the good work in the communities, whether it be civil rights or something like that, which is great work.
Right.
And one of my professors, Kevin Brown at the time, he really set it down, and he said, because he had seen students come through. He's a professor there for about 30 years. And he said, this is every single year, all of the Black students come in, and that is their goal. They want to do this type of work right here. And I think it's born from a sense of responsibility to the communities that we come from. And so we really want to go back, and we want to, go back and give back and fight the struggles that we perceive from our communities. And he had basically told us that, some of you also should be thinking about going to work at the law firms. Don't be afraid to go and, seek out the jobs that pay, very well and things like that. There's nothing dishonorable about going to a law firm and making, good money and doing, business, law and things like that. And in fact, you can go there and sort of help create and widen that pipeline for more African Americans to come there. Because if none of us are going there, none of us are going to be there to help, pull other people there, which made a lot of sense to me. So, when I talk to, young, people who are thinking about going to law school and about the type of law that they want to do, what they're thinking about, I encourage them to think about other things outside of, public service, which, again, great. I'm not saying don't do public service. I never want that to be the thought, but there's other areas that we're needed at as well, because we need that representation in corporate law as well. So
I love that. That is so important. I think that so we just got some comments going, so I want to make sure I bring that up. Everybody, we need them in all places, and that is so important. And even leading into that, like how we talk about like amplifying Black voices in certain careers, and how important that is, during that time, like, during this time, and not just this time, but, even the times before that, and, and leading the future. And I'm so glad that you brought that up. Like, hey, like you don't have to kind of pigeonhole yourself, you know, in one area because you think, you know, that you're supposed to do it. Like prime example is there's not a lot of, and I could so resonate with this, like there aren't a lot of Black women and men, you know, within the field of public relations and communications. Like there just isn't, you know, we are a total minority, you know, in this area. So it's important for us, at least I feel, to take a stand in that area and to ensure that you're giving back to, you know, like you mentioned, you know, reaching back and bringing folks up forward in order to
absolutely. Yeah, and we need help and we need representation in that area. That way the messaging is correct and fair and equal. You know, in my space, you know, it comes up a lot when we're talking about AI and artificial intelligence, which you know, Microsoft has a lot of those products. But, you know, if we don't have the right, you know, balance of representation developing these products, you get, you know, issues with, you know, imbalance. And this AI is used in, you know, so many different areas. It's used by the courts for sentencing, you know, people who have been convicted of crimes and things like that.
Right.
And, you know, when we don't have these systems built the right way, you get disproportionate sentencing in that system. So where, you know, you see people of color getting harsher sentences that, you know, from that's built in the algorithms and the AI. And that's not because the system is built bad, but that's because the data isn't there. You need data from everywhere. You need all, you know, representation data in there to build those systems. So
that's good. Do you feel like there's ever been a time like in your life? Because I know like law can be a very I don't even know how to explain it. But being in the field of law, like there's just, you know, some folks who it can be trying, you know, just like any field, you know, that you're in. I know even being in, you know, public relations, like it can be trying and it can be stressful, you know. But has there ever been a time like in your life where you were ashamed or embarrassed because you may have only been the Black in a certain area, or how did you pivot your thinking, and what advice would you give for those? Because we have a lot of parents, we have a lot of, you know, students, even faculty and staff who may honestly have been in that point or in that place where you're just like, man, like my enough isn't enough. You know what I'm saying? Like even if you build up. Like, so let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think for the most part it's been a positive experience, but there has been, you know, those few times where it's like, all right, I see what's going on here. Yeah, I remember law school. I did moot court, and I was the one you know, Black student on our moot court team, and we went to a national championship in New York. And I remember, you know, we argued our first round. I was arguing the second round, and I remember my teammates coming and really asking me. He actually had the nerve to ask me if I really wanted to argue, if I wanted him to argue it for me. And I had that, you know, basically tell him to have a whole seat. Like I'm here for a reason. I'm gonna, you know, argue my own thing. And so, you know, small things like that, or, you know, you always look at certain comments with a side eye, like, you know, someone tells you that you speak well, or, you know, you're articulate. And it's like, well, what else am I supposed to be? I'm an attorney, you know, I don't know, I don't know what you were expecting, you know, when I came in here, but, thank you for the compliment though. So I think small things like that, or, you know, even in, you know, in the corporate space, you can, you know, tell sometimes where maybe certain, you know, people that you're working with or negotiating with, they're surprised to see there's a Black attorney that they're working with, and maybe they're not as comfortable, or maybe they question how, you know, effective you're going to be. And even though they don't say that out loud, you can tell by some of their comments or, you know, things like that. That's what they're thinking. And you know, it is a responsibility for people in that position to really, you know, I think work hard and prove them wrong, to give people that confidence that, you know, the next time they see, you know, a Black attorney walk through the door, they're going to expect, you know, the product, the end product and the service to be really good, because that's their only experience with it to that point. So, you know, you do kind of, you know, you do have that responsibility. And that's part of, you know, paving that way and creating a pipeline for other folks. You want to make sure that, you know, you have a good experience. That way the next person behind you can have a better, easier experience.
Oh, I love that. I absolutely love that. Like, and how do you, being now going back, and I want to kind of like pivot back to Eastern, right? And how um during the time that we were on campus, as well as the times, when we left, but we're still connected, like we've seen our share of injustice, and we've seen our share, of um everything from, not just racial injustice, but, the whole nine. Like, so let's talk a little bit about like the past, and then how we can learn from the past in order to embrace the future that we have.
Yeah, and I think a great example of learning from the past is sort of what I mentioned earlier. What our faculty is doing right now in that area of diversity and inclusion, and being a support for our students. It's such a great thing to hear about at the meeting this last week, because when I first joined the board, it was a lot of racial tension on campus. There were protests and sit-ins and things like that. So the climate on campus was very negative, and there was a pretty negative perception on what the faculty or the administration, how we were handling sort of those kind of issues on campus. And so I think I can't imagine it being anything but a very positive perception right now, with everything that the faculty are doing right now. And that's not to say that they weren't doing anything before, because I don't think that's the case. But I just think they've ramped it up a lot, and they're doing so much, and they really care about it. And it's incredible to me. I was very, very happy and proud to hear of everything that we were doing.
I love it. And I think it's moves like that that make it easier, moving forward. Like, but then also recognize, I think the main thing you said is like recognizing that um that we missed the mark. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like, that we straight up missed the mark. But we're recognizing that, yeah, we dropped the ball. We missed the mark.
yeah.
But
And
here,
we're gonna miss sometimes. We're not gonna bet 1,000. We're not gonna shoot 100%. We're gonna miss sometimes, but I think it's about how you recover. From that really matters.
yeah. Eric, your brother Eric Brown chimed in, saying the protesting was a wake up call. And
Absolutely.
I most definitely agree, with that, because I watched it from, I would say, like from the sidelines, right? That was like the year before, before I came on staff, and I was just watching from the house, oh, oh God,
Yeah,
So I can only imagine being in the position that you were in, and actually, being there and having to,
yeah.
endure that.
And that was another one of those situations where, because there was an issue with students there, and what, should they be suspended and things like that. And so I think that's another one of those tough situations where there's one side that is, these are the rules, this is what the student handbook says, this is what should happen based on that. And I don't think that's a bad view, or a bad way to look at things. It's not incorrect. But then there's about looking at the total picture and what's going on in the world and things like that, and having some compassion. And ultimately that side won out, which I was very happy about. But it's just one of those things where it's not that the people who are thinking we should follow the handbook. It's not that they were racist, or that they didn't care about the students or anything like that. I think they really cared about the university and sort of what precedent this was set, and they were thinking along those lines. So I think from both sides of the fence, understanding where people are coming from, understanding background and things like that is very helpful. Because the last thing that we want to do, and I do think we do this too often, is pegging people, or labeling people as racist, or not caring and things like that. Because I personally have not encountered anyone at the university who I feel is racist, who doesn't care. I think there's just different backgrounds and different experiences, but we're in a great position now. We got, like you said, a very diverse board right now. We have a great president, I think, who's definitely cares about the university and the students and all these sort of issues. So I'm excited about the direction we go, and we got great alums and students who will let us know if we are heading in the wrong direction, or if we need to think about something differently. You know, Eric will call me. I know. Satina will call me. I know. So I think we have a really good system right now. So.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, I am so full from this conversation. Do you have any like last words? I want to give the opportunity, again, as you're sharing, if there's anyone who is watching the broadcast right now that would love to have any questions, for Regent Simpson, or any comments concerning our conversation today, please, by all means, go drop them in the comment box right now, and we'll go ahead and we'll adjust those. But any last words or thoughts as we continue the celebration this month?
I guess last thoughts is that I really miss my EMU family. I can't wait till we are recovered.
Throwing us off.
Yeah, I can't wait to recover. I miss homecoming. I miss seeing everyone. I will encourage alums that when we do get fully going back, please come back, engage with our students. They need us, just like we needed folks in our corner. They're gonna need us moving forward to support. And I know a lot of you already do. People like Eric and Shatine already really care, and they come back and things like that. But we need the whole team to come back, and let's help our students out. So I encourage you all to come back. Get with Mia and the team, and really get engaged.
That's right. I love it. Well, thank you again, Regent Simpson, for sitting down and having a candid conversation with me today about Black History 365 and your life as a regent, as well as a father, and also how we can move the needle forward here at Eastern. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. If anybody else has any questions, any comments or anything like that, by all means, please drop them in a comment box. We will get those over to Regent Simpson, and we will address them accordingly if you have something there. We got a few shout outs. Tanasia.
Hey, Ms. President.
And, our own Dr. McFarland.
My God, what's up, Calvin?
Yeah, so thank you.
We'll get happy hour when we open back up, man.
Right. I love it. So thank you, everybody, for tuning on in. Again, my name is Taquanda from the Division of Communications, and you are watching, if you're catching the replay, or if you're watching currently, celebrating Black History 365. We will be back the rest of this week at 12 o'clock right here on our Facebook and YouTube channel. We have a few more interviews that we have going on. We got our friend, Dr. NJ Akbar, coming this week as well. Nice. As well as Regent Ford will be here at the end of the week, and Mark Lee. So we have a heavy lineup this week. So make sure that you stay locked right here on our Facebook as well as our YouTube. Here it is right here. Mia saying thank you for service, and Alex. So there it is. So thank you again for everybody tuning in, and we will see you guys tomorrow.
All right. Thank you. Bye.